Coming up this week on Sporting Journal Radio.
Now I have to maybe break in a new motor at the same time as I fish it.
Which is crazy. The caller reported that no one had emerged from the water. Emergency responders were dispatched from the scene.
It can be hard to go catch, 10 fish in a day, 5 fish in a day.
Broadcasting on the Sporting Journal Radio Network, wherever you get your podcasts or watch on YouTube.
Fish on right now.
Well, we're here at the 2024 Pheasant Fest and Quail Classic, presented by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. And our guest now is Jeremy Smith. I fish, I hunt, and always will.
It's just to look out for your everyday hunter, angler, and trapper that's out there.
A Fish Hunt Forever production. This is Sporting Journal Radio. All right, that's right. We are on the road once again. Bret Amundsen and Dan Amundsen here, and we are in. This is a nice little conference room we're in right now. Dan is filming for the Bassmaster Open down here at Kentucky Lake, and we're going to talk about that experience so far, why we're doing that, who we're filming, and how that experience has gone, and talk about what I've had the chance to see down here as well too. We'll hit up some stories from Minnesota and what's going on back home as well. Joe Henry will have a Lake of the Woods fishing report for us. Also, Eric Meyer will talk about the Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic coming up next weekend in Shakopee, and we're going to have some of the anglers fishing in the tournament joining us here on the podcast to talk about their experience fishing in this big old tournament on Kentucky Lake coming up later in the show. Dan, how's it going over there?
We're getting by.
Yeah. Are we?
Yeah. Do I sound good?
No,
I don't. I think it's spring allergies. Oh, hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Joe's here. I hit that button.
Nope. Joe
I just kind of chuckle when you ask Dan, how you doing, Dan? Instead of going, doing really good, Brett. It's like, getting by.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you can hear it, and I can't even
Dan,
hear
you sound
myself
great
right now.
Yeah,
Do I?
Quiet.
Yep.
Okay, good. Thanks. And then we're doing awesome. I'll retract my statement. If Joe says we're doing
I saw
really good.
in your intro you had a boat kind of going through some icebergs. No, that wasn't on Kentucky Lake, was it?
No,
it's
but
not.
it sure felt like it could have been on the first day we were out there.
How's fishing?
That's why they call it fishing. I can tell you that much. Someone's going to catch him tomorrow when the tournament starts, but I don't know who it's going to be.
Weather's been tough. Water, I feel like it's been so weird. Like this whole filming process has been weird about what you can say and what you can do and all of this. So I suppose when this is going to come out tomorrow, what can we even talk about conditions? Yeah,
I don't know. Well, I guess if we do, it's public, but I don't know. I don't know. It's so confusing. Have you heard about this? So Bassmaster implemented these new no info rules, and so everyone is like, you walk around outside with earmuffs on. Because a guy at a gas station can't tell you what he's seen on the lake, and
I think there's a couple anglers that were recently
Scott Martin
pulled off
disqualified
because of that, correct?
Yep. So it's a sensitive topic right now, and it's needed to happen. The past few years, people have been upset about some anglers potentially paying guides and buying waypoints and this and that. So it's something anglers wanted, but it certainly is a sensitive thing, and. For us as media down here, and me being in a boat with an angler, it's, we'll just err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
And we don't want to get anyone in trouble. We want to have some fun.
When I used to fish the professional walleye trail as an amateur, you'd fish with a different pro each day of a 3-day tournament, and you were instructed that do not share what you know from pre-fishing, do not share what you did the day before with the pro you fished with, where you're at, what colors. You almost got to keep that hush-hush, and that was always on the honor rule, because you can see how that information could have been pretty advantageous.
Well, it's so tough. Like even the resort that we're staying at here, I was talking to the owner when we were checking in. He's like, "Oh yeah, the lake's been this, and this, and this, and this is where we've done that." I said, "Hey, when because we're staying with a couple of the anglers too. I said, when they get here, don't say any of that. Don't say a word. Don't even if they're not going to ask you, but." Don't, because it's like we're just going to be real cautious about this right now. So
I saw the interview with Scott Martin.
Yeah,
I saw the interview with Scott Martin, and he pretty much said, "Hey, listen, I didn't solicit anything. I didn't look for anything. Somebody came up when I was doing something with my boat and just started talking with me, and he said my mistake was I should have cut it off right then and there. But we were just chit chatting, and as I thought about it, there was some information that was so I volunteered the information, and that's why I'm in the predicament I am now. But please know, I didn't go out and look for it or solicit it,
He didn't shut it down, but he also asked a question, and I think that's the biggest thing. He asked a guy a water clarity question, and that's that's really where you run into an issue, I think, because you're supposed to just tell these people I can't gather information as soon as they tell you something, and it kind of is on the honor roll system here too. However, there are polygraph tests that will be implemented, I'm sure, to winners. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line here. There's a shot at the Bassmaster Classic and potentially a shot to make the Bass Elite, qualify for the Elite Series. And I think it's $50,000 for first place down here. So there's a lot on the line in this tournament.
Imagine just how we talk about fishing, just so second nature. Yeah, Danny, you're going to go and try to catch them in the muddy water. You go north and try to get where it's clear. I mean, we talk about this second nature in fishing, and sometimes some of that's hard to avoid.
It is, and that's why you just have to, as soon as that conversation comes up, you just have to say, I can't take information. I know I want to talk to you. You just got to shut her down. And it's tricky, but it's something anglers seem to have wanted, and there needed to be some form of crackdown so you don't have the supposed best anglers, best bass anglers in the world trying to buy waypoints off local guys. So that doesn't seem like a lot of fun. So
since this would be public when this podcast comes out, we could probably get away with it, but we're not gonna. We'll talk more about it next week here on the show. But I will say this, we're recording this on Wednesday, and they can't fish. Anglers can't fish on this day.
Thank goodness.
Which is okay, because it's gusting over 50 right now. It is just a bit breezy out there. So I'm glad we're not on the water. Dan, you spent a couple of days on the water, and it's been windy all week.
Yeah, the first day wasn't too bad. It was actually a really, really nice day. It was chilly in the morning. I think it was 27, 28 when we took off. I was really glad I brought my snowmobile helmet. Ice fishing gear and snowmobile helmets have a place in a boat too. And then for about 5 hours that day, it was just a beautiful, calm spring day. Gorgeous day to be on the lake. I'm sure if you're watching this, you can kind of see I've already got the sunglass tan going from just simply 2 days of being on the lake. And winds picked up, supposed to die down tomorrow. And Friday could get a little iffy. Maybe we'll see if we fish Friday, but other than that, we should be good to go for a 3-day derby.
I've not been on the water once.
That's all right. You got to see some pretty cool animals.
Yeah, the land between the lakes down here is a really neat area.
Yeah.
And there are a bunch of wild critters, but there's also a bison and elk prairie where you can drive through them. So I had the Fundra 2.0 was surrounded by bison the other day, and I was like, you know what? This is a brand new truck. And we had Tiny in the vehicle, and at first she started barking at him. I'm like, that's all I need is one of these bison to get a little angry with the big red pickup. And another phone call to my insurance company. And I did not want to have that. But thankfully, they were pretty cool. Just kind of wandered through. There's a new prescribed burn that just took place in there, Dan. I'm sure you're mad that you missed it. But they were rolling around in it and grazing. And it was pretty neat to see. Saw a bunch of turkeys, saw all kinds of cool stuff. So, Land Between the Lakes. We're filming a video for the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel. We'll be able to check that out very soon. We got to roll into our sponsors, Dan. So if you're ready to go.
Let me fire that up. This week's show is brought to you by Invergrove Toyota.
Sure.
The official truck sponsor of Fish Hunt Forever is Invergrove Toyota. Lake of the Woods Tourism. Plan a Lake of the Woods or Rainy River fishing trip at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. OnX Hunt. See private land boundaries, offline maps, and Minnesota-specific hunt layers. Download the OnX Hunt app today. Tasman Lake Lodge. Catch world record lake trout and giant pike at Saskatchewan's Tasman Lake. Learn more at tasmanlake.com. The Red River Valley Sportsman Show is this weekend at the Fargo Dome, March 6th through the 9th. Learn more at fargosportshow.com. Prairie Sportsman, we got a new episode from the Northwest Angle coming this week. Watch episodes anytime at the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel. Haybale Heights Campground and Resort, Fish Devils Lake. Learn more at haybaleheights.com. The Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic is March 14th through the 16th at Canterbury Park in Shakopee. Learn more at mndeerclassic.com. And Guardian Eagle Resort. Plan a trip for next summer to the Ontario waters of Guardian Eagle Resort. Fly directly from the Twin Cities. Learn more at guardianeagle.com.
All right, we're going to show you what that Prairie Sportsman episode looks like in 1 second. But first, let's do headlines first here, Dan. They're brought to you by Headlines. All right, the 2025 Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic is back at Canterbury Park in Shakopee next weekend, March 14, 15, and 16. Daniel Schmidt from Deer and Deer Hunting will be there. Don and Candy Kiske of Realtree Whitetail Freaks. And, of course, Melissa Bachman will be there from Winchester's Deadly Passion. Get your antlers scored with Minnesota official measures. Find out more. Are we playing an ad back there behind you? Find out more at mndeerclassic.com. And next Saturday, by the way, I'm going to be there. I believe 11 to 1 right inside the door.
No way!
You can find me right inside the door at the Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic next weekend, Saturday. I'm just going to double check that, 11 to 1. So you can find out a bunch of information about that at mndeerclassic.com, including where and when you'll be able to see myself. That is Saturday from 11 to 1. Yep, there you go. All right. Thank you very much. Kind of a sad story coming off of Big Stone Lake the other day, March 2nd. The sheriff's office received a report that a white pickup truck had fallen through the ice near Laguna Beach. The caller reported that no one had emerged from the water. Emergency responders were dispatched from the scene. Divers from the Big Stone City Fire Department dive team located a single individual inside the vehicle in the water. Life-saving measures were initiated. The victim was airlifted to Sanford, Fargo. He was pronounced deceased at the medical facility. Really a sad story, and it was Rodney Gustafson was his name. So our prayers are with his family. I know there was some social media stuff going around, and his wife was commenting on a couple of things. So just please be safe out there on the ice. No ice is ever safe. And of course, that brings up the March 17th fish house removal for the majority of Minnesota, and March 31st for Minnesota-Canada border waters, like Lake of the Woods, of course. And we're going to talk more about Lake of the Woods right now with Joe Henry joining us. And Joe, it's interesting. We've talked about this. We're not far from Big Stone where we're at, but when you look at it on a map from where our house is to the northwest angle where we went to, if you go 6 hour, that's about a 6 hour trip. If you go 6 hours south, that's, what do we say, Omaha?
Yeah.
Omaha. Like, that's how far north you guys are. When you think about how far south Omaha is from, that part of Minnesota, you're quite a ways up there yet.
We are. And, sincerest condolences to the family who lost their husband and their father and everything else. So tragic, and we've all driven on the ice, and we've all driven on the ice as the ice starts deteriorating. And, it's just like, geez, 2 days ago, it was great, and things can change in a hurry. I don't know the details. It appeared from social media that maybe there used to be a fish house there, that those fish houses a lot of times will pull the sun's energy and make it.
Yeah.
Did you hear that too, Brett?
Yeah. That between that, or I guess I didn't hear specifically what it was, but there's been some heaves on that lake that have swallowed a few vehicles. So,
tough deal, man. Our prayers go out for sure. It's just hate that. One thing I'll say, is I feel good about Lake of the Woods in the sense that the way we're set up, just the way the whole lake is set up with infrastructure, it's resorts and outfitters that are plowing the ice roads out of private land. Hence, they're working the ice every single day, and the vast majority of them drive the ice before any customer ever steps foot on that ice every day.
Yeah.
So they're really watching conditions, making sure that the ice is good to go. If there's a crack or an ice upheaval, either they reroute you around it or they put a steel bridge or a big bridge across it. But my point is they're watching things, making sure people are safe. Now, we do have an extended ice fishing season. We can have fish houses out overnight through March 31st. Our walleye season and sauger season is open through April 14th. And our pike season, our perch season, eel, they never close. So there's a lot of fishing left at Lake of the Woods. Just saw a report from Marshall Monk at Lake Road Lodge. He punched a hole as part of his fishing report. There's about 40 inches of ice. You still have to use an extension. I put in our fishing report this week, I purposely put our weather forecast for the rest of the month. We get some 40s during the day, but at night it's getting into the teens, and that's freezing everything up. That's going to make it slow. The melt is going to be a very slow progression on the lake. So we are looking very, very good for holding all the way through March. There will be some people that are targeting big pike that'll get out on a lake into April, especially in areas like over by Arneson's, Rocky Point, in that area where there's no moving water. So there's a lot of opportunities yet. Up at the northwest angle, I just talked to some resorts yesterday. They're planning, a lot of them anyway, are planning on fishing through the month of March, and they do have openings if people would want to come up. And it's a whole other extra month. You figure that's 25% more ice fishing season for people that want to get that last trip in. Maybe you didn't get a walleye trip in. Maybe you want to get a bonus trip in. Maybe you want to just do something for the month of March as it starts getting nice out. I mean, it's a nice opportunity, Brett.
Yeah, and absolutely, you can start thinking about pike too. And honestly, a northwest angle trip man, if you haven't been there, you have to do it. And if you want to learn more about the Northwest Angle, check out Prairie Sportsman this Sunday night. It's pretty cool. Coming up on an all-new Prairie Sportsman.
Tell my mom I love her.
Oh, yeah. We're learning about the rich history of the Northwest Angle.
Fort St. Charles is a spot that's equally important to Canadians and Americans. And then you also got a murder mystery.
Then, researchers investigate flow batteries for storing renewable energy.
We're cracking the electricity code, but it's going to require a lot of storage as well.
You can watch that on Pioneer PBS Sunday night at 7:30, or watch for it airing on a PBS station near you, or even on the Prairie Sportsman YouTube channel. That's usually out by midday on Sunday, so you could probably actually watch it on YouTube before it comes out on Sunday night. So pretty excited about that. And of course, Joe, the SJR 500, the Fish Donkey registration is open for our Rainy River Fishing Tournament, April 8th and 9th. That is the last week that the walleye season is open on the Rainy River, and I absolutely cannot wait for that. It's presented by Wave Pro. We're going to have relevant prizes, relevance a part of it. Also, heavy hauler fishing gear. They've got those gear boxes that wrap around your pedestal and your boat, which I think is just a brilliant idea. And the fishing's usually okay that time of year too, Joe.
Well, speaking of pedestals, who else is a sponsor?
Well, Wave Pro. Is that what you're talking about, Wave Pro?
Yeah, I don't know if you said Wave Pro. Yeah,
I did say that. Yeah.
Oh, you did.
That's
well,
right.
You don't want to just.
It's okay to bring them up again, though.
About something else. You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about Joe Lauren up at the Northwest Angle. Man, did we have a good trip up there? And for listeners, you need to watch. If you don't catch that show while it's airing on TV, watch the YouTube. It's so interesting. Joe Lauren. He used to be an engineer at Polaris. He started for decades when he and his wife would go out in the boat. They'd have to fish part of the time because Anita likes to fish, and they'd have to explore part of the time because that's Joe's passion. Well, Joel, he's an engineer by trade. He would order all these old maps off the internet and do all this research, and then they'd go and they'd go to these areas and search things out and find the abandoned gold mines, the petroglyphs, the Cheerios Beach, interior waterfalls, interior lakes. Fort St. Charles, all this history. So when you go to the Northwest Angle, most people go to there to fish. It's world-class fishing. It's beautiful. Yeah. But some people now are saying, let's take one day and let's go do that history tour. How fun would that be? And you guys captured it on video. I'm so excited to see that.
Yeah, it's good. It was a fun time, and we were able to spend time there in the open water and also in the winter time too. So 2 trips to the Angle in the last year, really. So it was a lot of fun, and can't wait to get back up there. April is going to be here before we know it. We're about not even a month away. Yeah, about a month away, I suppose, from that tournament. So Riverbend Resort
have you heard about that new song, Rising Up the Charts?
It's a good one.
Danny, what's that new song?
It's the SJR 500. You want to listen to it?
Well, I thought maybe you'd have it queued up. Just that, since we're talking about it.
It's pretty good.
Here we go.
I don't know if we should play the whole thing right now.
If you want to catch a big fish, you have to go where the big fish are. Come join us at the walleye capital, Lake of the Woods and the Rainy River.
The River. Yeah, there you go.
I like that River part. Boy, it sure rhymes.
You can, when you're making it with AI, you have to be pretty specific on how you. Well, hi Dan.
Your camera died.
Oh,
well, you were
awesome.
frozen.
All right. Well, let's take a break. Joe, if people want to take a trip to Lake of the Woods, what should they do?
Check out our website, and that is lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
Lake of the Woods, the walleye capital of the world, is calling out to you. From the Northwest Angle to the South Shore and Rainy River, this is the Midwest's #1 ice fishing destination. Walleyes, sauger, perch, northern pike, and eelpout. The fishing on Lake of the Woods is like a world of its own. Experience the most amazing fishing through one of the many full-service resorts featuring heated fish houses, ice transportation, meal plans, and sleeper fish house options. For more information, go to lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
We're back, Sporting Journal Radio. This segment is brought to you by Guardian Eagle Resort. Come fish the Ontario waters of Guardian Eagle Resort. We're going to start giving away a trip for Guardian Eagle next week. You could take a trip up there and catch piles of walleyes in Ontario on 75,000 acres of private water. Fly directly from the Twin Twin Cities and be at their concrete runway lodge in 2 hours. Learn more at guardianeagle.com. All right, next weekend, it is happening at Shakopee at Canterbury Park, the Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic. It's back again this year. I love it at this place. It's such a great location. There's a lot going on. I'll be there Saturday from 11 to 1, and to tell us more about it is Eric Meyer right now joining us on the show. Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Not too bad. You know, whenever you have an event like this time of year, you always have to watch the weather a little bit, and it looks like the storm came early for you. It looks like the timing is going to work out.
Yeah, the long range forecast is showing a little precipitation, but it's going to warm up really nice next week. So hopefully everything gets melted and dries off a little bit. But yeah, we're looking for a banner crowd this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and it's easy to get to. So driving there is simple. You know, you're right off of just south of 494 there in Shakopee, off 169 at Canterbury. And I remember, Eric, when you moved out there, and I just thought it was brilliant because it's free parking. There's a ton of it right there at the venue. You park, you walk right in, and you check out the show. And it's a cool venue too, with a lot of wandering around. You know, those big open rooms can be nice in a sense because it's a big square and you can walk around, and you've got that at Canterbury too. But then you also can kind of wind your way through the venue, which I think that's kind of fun. You never really know what's coming up around the corner there, Eric.
Yeah, it's a nice layout. They have all kinds of features at the casino. They have all sorts of different food vendors, and yeah, and I can create different size booths to fit. I got the thing sold out, and every spot available I've sold. So, and I've got some awesome exhibitors coming.
That's cool. Well, let's just talk a little bit about it. I mean, first of all, Daniel Schmidt's going to be there from Deer and Deer Hunting. Don and Candy Kiske of Realtree Whitetail Freaks. Melissa Bachman is going to be there. Minnesota Official Measures will be back, and of course, you've got a ton of big deer on display. How many big racks are going to be there this year, Eric?
Well, we did over 260 last year. We scored, and I'm anticipating at least that, if not more. But the one thing about this year is the size. We have got some giants. These mild winters has led to great antler growth, and in this week's issue of Outdoor News, we printed the show program, and I've got 8 of the top bucks that are some of the top bucks anyway that are coming. There's 8 of them featured in here, and a number of them are over 200 inches.
Wow, jeez! I'm just looking at the website here, and if you're wondering what it's going to look like too, there's a couple walkthrough videos on the homepage, so you can kind of get a little preview of what it's going to look like. You've got ladies' night on Friday, it looks like.
Yep, 3 to 8, and all the gals are free from 3 to 8, and then the first 50 through the door receive a gift from Wildlife Research Center.
And it's the Deer and Turkey Classic. So looks like Daryl Madden's going to be there as well.
Yeah, this guy goes all over the country and hunts turkeys. He's working on his 60th Grand Slam. He makes calls, and he's also a Cabela's Bass Pro field staffer. Very knowledgeable and entertaining to listen to. He'll teach you the basics on calling for turkeys and tips while out turkey hunting. So he'll be a great addition. So
there's so much you can do there, not just meet some of these big names that you might know in the industry, and see some of these giant deer, but you can learn stuff too. And looks like there's a lot of seminars, including one on with the Minnesota tracking dogs, and that's really grown in recent years, hasn't it?
Yeah, they have been exhibiting and brought it up in conversation that they were interested in doing a seminar on what they do and tracking and recovering big game. So so their group is going to get up and give a couple seminars on tracking and recovering your big game. It'll be awesome. One that came to me, I've been trying to get somebody from the DNR to come and talk about what's going on at the DNR. And here, Barbara Keller, she's the Minnesota DNR Big Game Program Leader. She's going to come in and do a Q&A, and she handles the whitetail, elk, and moose. So she's going to do a Q&A with the crowd and try to answer questions and, discuss what's going on. She doesn't handle the wolf, but she handles the deer. So we're going to have her in, and she's giving a seminar each day, and that should be well attended.
Lots of CWD questions, I'm guessing, and probably some elk reintroduction. And the wolf, I know she doesn't handle the wolf because that's a federal situation right now, but I could promise you it's going to come up at some point, I'm sure, while she's up there. So that's great that she's going to do it, though. That's good for her. That's, that's always kind of tough. When it comes to whitetail in Minnesota, that's always kind of tough when you go out there and face the deer hunters. So good. And I see Brian Brostall is going to be doing something for you as well. Yeah,
good old Bro. He does a lot of hunting as well, and actually I spent some time in the boat with him on Winnie here this fall, and we got talking about hunting and that sort of thing, and he's got quite the following. And I thought, well, why don't we do a cast and blast seminar with Bro, where he talks about some of his fishing techniques and his experiences hunting and kind of focusing on that northern Minnesota area. So I'm excited to have Bro, and he's excited to come.
And of course, it's a great place to bring the kids, bring the family out. You got the Wild Trails Kid Zone, the first 30 kids each day to stop by the National Wild Turkey Foundation booth. We'll get a box call. You're going to have some hawks and falcons on display once again. Looks like there's some chances to shoot archery, BB guns, probably the trout pond back again this year, I bet, too. So lots to do for the kids out there.
Yeah, we have one room that's just dedicated to the kids zone, and they want to come out and try to shoot a bow. We'll have trained instructors from A1 Archery there, and Fishing for Life handles the trout pond, and they have a archery shoot with a floating Nerf ball deal, and Trail Life comes out and handles the rubber band shoot, and then upstairs we have like an inflatable where they do the BB gun shoot. So I'd also like to shout out to my presenting sponsor. It's Chevy Select Heartland Chevy dealers. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have a lot of these extra features there with their support. So buy a Chevy.
There you go. Well, it's coming up next weekend, March 14th, 15th, 16th. It's 1 to 8 Friday, 9 to 7 Saturday, 9 to 4 on Sunday, Canterbury Park in Shakopee. All the details at mndeerclassic.com. Glad to hear it's sold out. Looking forward to being there again. I know the ice fishing season, we're on the backside of it. People are going to start thinking about fall once you get past summer, of course. But for the hunters out there, they're starting to think about, they're thinking about deer and turkeys year round. They're definitely gearing up for the turkey season, which is right around the corner, of course. And this is kind of that kickoff to this time of year, in my opinion. So you're going to have guys there that are going to be talking turkeys and deer and thinking about the hunting seasons at the Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic in Shakopee. Eric, anything else you want to say?
Well, you brought up the turkey hunting, and we have, I think, about a half a dozen turkey call makers now. So, and I have a few more retailers that are selling turkey hunting equipment. So our lineup has gotten better, and the level of these exhibitors, as far as their national kind of accounts, so it's going to be great.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see you there next weekend. Come join us. I'll be there Saturday from 11 to 1 right inside the main door, so stop by and say hi. mndeerclassic.com has all the details. We'll have more from Kentucky Lake when we come back. Eric Meyer, thanks for the time today on the show.
Yeah, thank you. See you at the show.
Don't miss the 2025 Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic, presented by Select Heartland Chevy dealers, March 14th, 15th, and 16th at Canterbury Park in Shakopee. This year's Classic features top outdoor celebrities like Don and Candy Kiske of Real Tree Whitetail Freaks, Melissa Bachman of Winchester Deadly Passion, and Daniel Schmidt from Deer and Deer Hunting. Get your antler score, view more than 300 antler entries, and see the latest hunting products, plus a great lineup of lodges and outfitters. Learn more about the Minnesota Deer and Turkey Classic, March 14th, 15th, and 16th at mndeerclassic.com. Sick of eating tag soup? It's time to own your odds this fall with OnX Hunt, the GPS hunting app trusted by millions of hunters. Now you'll have access to nationwide public and private land ownership information, waypoints, optimal win for each stand, tracks, and much more. All at your fingertips. Go to onxmaps.com/hunt and use code SJR20 at checkout to receive 20% off your membership. That's code SJR20. All right, we are back here on Sporting Journal Radio along with Joe Titus and Matt Kennedy now. A couple of anglers taking part in the Bassmaster Open tournament this weekend. How you guys doing?
Excellent. I'm not complaining.
Yeah,
We're
good.
at Kentucky Lake, so hard to complain.
Yeah.
Really? It just could have fooled me a couple of times in the boat.
Yeah, it's been pretty tough out there, but we're trying to make the best of it, right?
That's all you can do. Mm-hmm. And that's tournament fishing, right?
Yep.
Exactly. It's always, sometimes it's a grind. Sometimes it's feels like you're the best angler on the planet at any given point in time, but it's kind of how tournaments go. You win and you lose, and you lose a lot more than you win.
That's right. Try to keep that mic right in front of you, so if you turn your head,
can do.
Otherwise, we won't be able to hear you.
Can do.
That's fine. Maybe nobody wants to listen to you.
Probably.
Wow. All right, Joe. Is this your second year fishing the Opens?
This is my second year. I did a full division, or one division last year. I fished St. Clair, La Crosse, and Leech last year, and this is my first year doing, or my second year doing another division, because there is two that you can do. This year it's structured a little differently. It's points based, and it's fish one division or the other, and then the top 50 from each division go into another pool of 100 and fish 3 more tournaments. Versus last year, if you only fished one division, you're just fishing for a classic berth. You weren't fishing for points based, anyways. So.
How about you, Matt?
This is my first year on the Opens so far. I'm really enjoying it so far, though. Like we just got down to Sam Rayburn, and that was a lot of fun. Loved Texas. But now we're here, and hopefully we can stay in that points race like Joe's talking about and get ourselves into the EQs.
I don't know how much we can talk about conditions or how much you guys want to talk about conditions, but do you want to talk about how the pre-fishing has gone so far? Yeah,
I can start off with that. It's been really tough. I know for every angler I've talked to personally, it's been really tough. I think, like, just watching YouTube videos and stuff like that, before I came here, it looked like the water was like a bluish tint. And then coming here, I went out of a bay, or put in at a bay, and then I saw the water was like chocolate milk. So I was a little confused. I was like, okay, maybe this bay is just dirty. And then I went throughout the lake, and I was like, I guess it's all like that. So I think that has made it tough. And then the low water conditions, I would say, too, make some of those flats that might have been good a little bit more unfishable. So that makes it a little more difficult. But you would think the fish should be grouped up a little bit more, but that doesn't really seem to be the case. So,
maybe they are, and you just didn't found the group.
Yeah, I might not have found the group.
They're all in one group.
Yeah, well, and then it's, when we were looking at the forecast before this trip, first of all, there was a lot of rain and flooding right before this, so they must have opened things up and drained everything to some extent. But then we saw what the conditions were going to be like for pre-fishing and for the tournament, and it got pretty windy this week so far.
Yeah, it's definitely been nasty. We've had upwards of 20 mile an hour wind the last 2 days, with gusts going over 50 according to the Weather Channel. But so it's getting stirred around. I believe the last time I checked it before we came down was about a week, and I can't remember the website, but it said it was about 3 feet high, and by the time we got down here a week later, it had dropped 6 feet to the point where it's 3 feet low. So that's a lot of water when you're talking 160,000 acres, and that changes things. A lot of times anglers like when the water gets lower because fish move together. but it also makes it a lot harder for everybody to find a group of fish. You know, when water drops, the fish move out. When water rises, the fish move up. It's a kind of a common theme in the bass world anyways. And it seems like they have moved out of the lake for the most part. It's been a little bit of a struggle. Guys are going to catch them. They always do. It'll probably take 20 pounds to win, maybe more a day. But I think catching 5 is going to go a long ways out here. Any other time of the year, it might be a different story. Should be really good right now, and so it's kind of a bummer that it's not. But we can only do what we can do with the conditions.
Right. You'd almost say that conditions like this might also even level the playing field for everybody. Say somebody's got more experience on this lake. All of a sudden you throw in some adverse conditions like this, and it takes away some of that advantage a little bit.
Yeah, I would say, everyone's got to fish the same conditions that you're fishing. So, like, if it's windy out, it's windy for everyone else too. So, you gotta, like I said, make the best of it, and everyone else has to deal with it too. So, one thing somebody might not think about too when they do let out that much water in an impoundment like this, you start to worry a little bit about where you're running too, for stumps or other stuff that's in the water.
Yeah, that's a very correct statement. Me and Matt actually both hit the same stump on the same flat.
Oh boy.
That was supposed to be in about 10 feet of water, and we both hit it, just at idle speed. So, that's a good thing. The mapping is pretty true on this lake, I would say, for the most part, from the couple times I've been here. But I mean, if you don't change your water level offset on your graph, you're going to run up on some sandbars that weren't there just a couple days ago. So it's a river. So it's, the water level is changing. The TVA does as much as they can to keep it consistent. But
and they have the priority here, of course.
Correct. So if they need a little energy, they're gonna keep dropping it. So kind of the way it is.
But you take some of that stuff aside, and it's really a cool lake. Like, it's really unique. Obviously, the fishing can be really good here, and when you think back in the last few years, and I know you fished here a few years ago, and it was pretty tough then, and that was a completely different set of circumstances back then. Things have been rebounding. The fishing, like the bass fishing, has come back. You don't see as many carp out there anymore. There were a couple of washout years there during the spawn that hurt things as well too. Now there's been a couple of good strong year classes, so it seems like things are coming back. You just ran into some bad weather.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. We definitely, the last time we were down here, the largemouth fishing seems to be pretty consistent. You hit your primary points, your secondary points, steep breaks. You can usually pick up a largemouth, whether it's big or not. That's a different question. The last time I was down here, the smallmouth in here were kind of a surprise. They weren't, it wasn't public knowledge that if you go catch 5 smallmouth, you can win a lot of the events out here. And last time we were here, it was a college tournament, and me and my partner were the only boats fishing in the main river on the flats, and that just happened to line up terribly with COVID, so that tournament never happened. But now it is, I would say there's a pretty close to a 60-40, 70-30 ratio, and there's more guys on the flats than there are on the bank. So it changes all the time, but we just got to make the best of what we got.
That's right. So when that first trip that you took down here, that was 2020 then, you're saying?
Yes.
All right. Was that your first time to Kentucky Lake in general?
Yeah, that's correct.
What'd you think when you saw it for the first time?
I really liked it. It reminded me a lot of the Mississippi River, obviously, but more reservoir-ish than the Mississippi. It's got a lot more deep water. I thought it set up really good for a northern angler. We all have learned living up north how to run down a bank. Throw at grass, fish rock piles. We get the whole diversity being up north. So this lake kind of sets up well for that. The only thing that I'm not super familiar with, and Matt's a little bit more familiar with where he's from, is the ledges. I haven't had the time frame when I'm down here where the fish are on them, so that hasn't really came into play yet. The only thing I really didn't love about the lake last time I was here was the carp numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's scary when you turn your side imaging on at about any given point in time and your screen is just loaded with carp. It makes using your technology a little harder, but it has definitely got better. You know, they're a lot smaller right now, and there's definitely less. So that makes a huge difference as far as the bass population goes, because I think there's just a little bit more room for them to spawn and more room for them to grow, more food. It's kind of the way it goes.
It's interesting talking about ledges like that. You know, you hear about ledges, and I don't spend a whole lot of time in the bass world, but when we went to Alabama last year, whenever that was, last year, sure. That's what they was like, oh, ledge fishing down. You know, well, I built this bait for ledge fishing. You know, that's all they talked about down there was ledge fishing and all that. And that's how they said it too, just like that. But it's interesting, and I grew up fishing bass in Northern when I was a kid, but we were throwing lily pads and we went to the same places all the time. So it was, I didn't really think much of it, but there's actually a lot of nuances to it and a lot of techniques and baits and strategy to catching a bass. And man, and when you start talking about a tournament like this and even bigger, I mean, there's a little bit of pressure there too. And it's like, oh, I can go catch a bass. And then you get into a tournament. It's like, oh, can I go catch a bass? So I want to talk to both of you guys. We got to take a quick break, but I want to talk a little bit about that pressure and what it's like when you decided to make the jump into tournament angling. For anybody watching this or listening to this that says, man, I want to do that. I want to get into competitive fishing, because some guys are probably all about it and want to do it. And some guys are probably like, maybe it's not for me. So we'll talk about that more with Joe Titus and Matt Kennedy when we come back.
Happy Harry's presents the Red River Valley Sportsman Show, March 6th through the 9th at the Fargo Dome. Visit hunting and fishing resorts from the Midwest to Canada. So plan your vacation right at the show. See fishing boats, docks, RVs, and campers, plus fishing gear and the latest in fishing electronics. There's fishing seminars and the Wildlife Adventure Center. It's the Red River Valley Sportsman Show, March 6th through the 9th at the Fargo Dome. Show information at fargosportshow.com, a Sonenko production.
It doesn't get much better than fresh perch and fresh walleye. If you're looking for an exciting winter fishing destination, come to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Haybale Heights Campground and Resort is on the ice with a fleet of snow bears, keeping you mobile and warm so you can stay on the roaming schools of fish. Haybale Heights on the east end of Devil's Lake has knowledgeable guides, comfortable cabins, and their own lake access, making your trip as successful and stress-free as possible. To book your trip, go to haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. We're back. We're talking with Joe Titus and Matt Kennedy here. We're at Kentucky Lake, sitting on the shores of Malcolm Creek Resort right now. This has kind of been a neat little spot to hide out for the week down here. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, for sure. It's a nice little spot. Our cabin's really, really nice. You got a couple beds and stuff like that. And last time we didn't have a kitchen in Texas, so it's nice to actually have a kitchen.
Well, especially when you're on the road like this and you're spending a week here. I mean, the first thing I did when we got down here is went straight to the grocery store. Bought stuff for making lunches and breakfasts and whatever. We've gone out to eat a couple of times, but it's kind of nice to make a home base like this.
Yeah, it's a perfect place for anglers. It's got everything you need. The parking is super nice, which is huge. Outdoor electrical plugins, huge. And then our host, he's been great too. Any minor problems that we've had or hiccups, because he just opened up, so ran into a couple little things, but he was awesome. He handled everything perfectly too. So.
This time of year, if you want to come down here, it's kind of a sneaky getaway. I mean, you can deal with some weather, of course, but we got the place to ourselves pretty much here.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
It's just too bad that the water levels are down. We can't use the access right.
Yeah, that'd be even nice.
But it's fun, and this area is really neat. And while Dan's been in the boat, with you and filming on the water, I've been out at the land between the lakes, which, I was talking that last segment we did when I asked you about your impressions of the lake, because when you look at Kentucky Lake on a map, or even Barkley, they don't look big. When you just look at it on a map, it just looks like a long, narrow, like a wide river, basically. And then when you get here and see it, it's like, dang, it's long, it's a big lake, and it's still pretty wide. And then the land between the lakes, I read about this area where it's fairly wild. There's a bunch of animals and things like that. People hunt over there, and when you read about it and you look at it on a map, same thing. It's like, wow, it doesn't look that big, and then you go and see it, and it's actually a pretty big area. It's pretty neat.
Wow.
So. Yes, it's very big. So as far as like an angler, when you're going to attack a body of water like that, I mean, especially if you hadn't seen it before, like Matt, was this your first time?
Yeah,
here?
first time ever being here.
So obviously you watched some YouTube, you tried to do a little bit of prep work, but you put the boat on the water. I mean, you probably spent time on big water, so it probably wasn't too intimidating for you. But I mean, did you have an idea of like, I'm going to go north, I'm going to go south, I'm going to try this depth or whatever? Did you have a plan, or were you like, I'm just going to go fish?
Yeah, I had a pretty set plan. I wanted to stay from the midsection of the lake down to the bridge. And most of the time, I'm kind of a angler that likes to, find an area and stick in that area. So I found kind of an area, narrowed it down to like a 12-mile stretch, which is fairly small considering how big this lake is, I think.
Just 12 miles. So this is a small area. It is 12 miles.
But I also kind of take into account weather a lot when I was coming down here, because I was like, do I really want to run 41 miles if it's going to be, with the wind that can get going out here? I really didn't want to do that. So I was like, I know there's a good population of fish from the boat ramp north and south. So coming into the tournament, that's kind of the area I wanted to focus on, and I really worked that area and ended up finding some fish in there. So hopefully it works out for me. It may not with how tough it's fishing, but I'll do my best to make it happen.
Yeah, with a lake that runs north-south like this, you get a north wind or a south wind. You probably, I know Dan sent me a message the other day, and he says it's a 6 mile an hour wind right now, and we got a pretty good chop out there. Joe, when you decided, like, how much fishing did you do growing up, and when did you decide to get into tournament angling?
I grew up angling northern Minnesota with my dad, just like a lot of kids did. It really wasn't until early high school that I met a few friends. One of them is here at the moment, that kind of got me into bass fishing. Moved down in the Twin Cities, and there's not a lot of good fishing opportunities if you want to go. I mean, there's good opportunities, but it's a lot of small bodies of water, and we're casting from shore, and the most fun thing to catch from shore is a bass. So that's kind of what got me into it. And I fished my first tournament. I believe my first tournament was on Lake Minnetonka, and I was hooked ever since. It's the same adrenaline rush that you get from sports. In my opinion, you kind of still get to keep that competitive edge after you get through your high school phase, get out of your sports for the most people. So that's kind of what kept me in it. And what got me into it was just, meeting the right people at the right time.
Well, people will say that it'll ruin the fun of it. Once you make it work or competition, you can take the fun out of it. Has that happened for either one of you yet?
No,
definitely not. And I could see where that opinion could play. I think at the time where you're not having fun with it anymore, you shouldn't be doing it. I mean, it can become a job. I mean, that's kind of our goal of being here, is to make this our job. But if you talk to the 102 guys that are on the next level above us, I'm pretty sure they're all having fun every time they're on the water.
When you did it last year, you decided to do the Bass Opens. How did it go?
It was definitely a season of ups and downs. I started my first tournament on Lake St. Clair, clear water smallmouth fishery. It's kind of where I thrive as far as smallmouth fisheries go, and it went really well. I finished 13th out of 230 in my first event. I was 6 ounces away from top 10ing, being on national television.
Dang.
So it was a really, really good start. And then there was my hiccups. We went down to La Crosse, and the first day of the tournament, I got stuck at the lock. And so I had about 14 pounds the first day, which, if you're familiar with La Crosse area, if you're getting 14 to 15 a day, you'll be close to the check range in most events. So I zeroed the first day. It was 25 minutes or so late.
Dang it.
And then proceeded to do the same thing on the second day.
Oh, no.
So I had a hiccup after a hiccup. And then we went to Leech, which was definitely my most frustrating event of the year, because I've spent hours upon hours upon hours out there. And I have seen it where it gets really fickle. And that was kind of the time of year, August, where it can get really hard. It can be hard to go catch 10 fish in a day, 5 fish in a day. But then you add the outlet pressure for a week, and these guys find everything. If you talk to any of them, they'll all say the same thing. Everybody finds everything, and these guys really love to set the hook. So you get on the lake like Leech, there is a large population out there, but there's not a large population that always likes to eat, in my opinion.
So they're burning them up in pre-fishing.
Correct, yes. So that's, I didn't execute. I kind of ran too much history. They say one of the hardest things to do in tournaments is to win on your home body of water. We got proven wrong in that one because Easton Fothergill won that event, and he's really good. So really, really good. He's kind of special as far as that goes. But I didn't execute how I should have, and I kind of got narrow-minded, didn't open up, and definitely gonna have a different approach this year for it. So
any of those guys ever, take some hooks off for pre-fishing at all? So you might bump into some fish, but you're not,
I tend to do that from time to time. I've done that out here actually. Well, one day I put on a little drop shot with no hook, or I broke the hook off and got a bite, but it might not have been a bass. That's the tough part about that. Is,
you don't know.
Is if you can get a bite, but it might not be a bass. But like personally, I like to do that just so I don't sting every fish that might be in that group.
Right.
But yeah.
So last year went well enough for you. You decided to do year 2.
Correct. Yeah. And it's kind of a stepping stone, I guess, for me. In past years, I went from high school fishing to college fishing, and then I stepped into the state level. Did fairly decent at the state level. Nothing super spectacular, but average to high finishes. So this was kind of the next step, and you get kicked down so many times in this sport that, one bad season, if that's all it takes for you to quit, don't get into it.
Wasn't meant for you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely something where you got to cut your teeth every time you're on the lake. It's not, it's never easy. So.
Well, Matt, this is the first tournament of the season, right?
Second.
It's the second one. Yep. Oh, yeah, Rayburn. Now that you got that one behind you, and then this one, I know the answer to this already, but what's been one of the hardest parts about being on the road?
Well, yeah, probably when you have issues with a boat motor and you're not home, that makes it tough. You guys know, but for the people listening, my boat motor blew up on the second day of practice in this event, so that was unfortunate. But you got to roll with it, right? Keep your head up, because if you're a tournament angler, like Joe was saying too, like if you're a tournament angler, you have to know that you're going to have tough times and things are going to go wrong. And if you get down in those times, that's when you do really poor. But if you try and make the best of it, like I'm trying to do, like I just got a new motor luckily, and somehow that worked out. But I was ready and prepared to fish with my trolling motor, and that was what I was going to do. But I got lucky, and now I have to maybe break in a new motor at the same time as I fish it.
Which is crazy. And it's amazing that you were able to get that motor that quick, and that's what you did today, right? I mean, you drove 2.5 hours, got a motor, bought a motor, and got it put on your boat, and then drove back. Spent all day. Luckily, it was no practice day. It was like the day off the lake, and 50 mile an hour winds anyway. But yeah, I saw you getting trolling motor batteries. You borrowed some batteries.
Yeah, so I literally had my trolling motor batteries, and Ian Waterer actually brought me a 36 volt trolling motor battery in case mine died, because I was fully prepared to fish with that. And say my trolling motor batteries died and I have to make the check-in, and I have say I have a bag somehow.
You're paddling along with that trolling.
I got to do everything in my power to get back, and he wanted to make sure that could happen.
You're fishing upwind to the axis. That's what you're doing.
I don't know if you've ever paddled a glass boat. It doesn't work very well.
All right, for the radio stations, we got to go to the podcast right now with Joe Titus and Matt Kennedy. To continue this conversation, go find us on YouTube, Sporting Journal Radio, or download the podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. So you got the motor though, and but you haven't it hasn't been on the water yet.
No, yeah, like I was saying, Joe was going through the owner's manual because somehow I couldn't find the break-in thing. But so I have to, for the first 2 hours, I have to stay within 0 to 4,500 RPMs, and then I can run it hot for a minute, but then I have to rest it again and go, But I told Joe and stuff, like I probably won't run it for those 2 hours. Even this next 3 days, I might not run it that much. I mean, if I don't run it that much, I'll probably be doing good. But if I have to run it over those 2 hours, then it's not a good day. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that, though. Should be a good motor, hopefully. You never know with everything nowadays, but usually they're pretty good with all their motors and stuff. So I have warranty if something does go wrong for a little while.
That's good. Well, and I didn't realize, something that I learned through you guys, I think that, at these tournaments, you got guys here that can work on motors. That's part of the deal, right?
Correct. So we have a full fleet of tournament support. I believe, I'm probably going to forget somebody, but there is Yamaha, Mercury, Skeeter, Phoenix, Garmin. See, I'm already forgetting somebody.
Humminbird,
Minn Kota.
Texas Bolt World has a trailer, I believe.
Yep, and Power Pole. So they cover a wide variety. And Bass Cats there, I believe, too. And they are some of the best in the business, for sure. They've seen a lot.
Yeah.
Bass anglers put their stuff through hell and back. So it's pretty amazing. They're busy every day.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what brand you have. They're busy every day. But they're great guys. They get up at the crack of dawn and they're there usually working into the night. So it's super nice to have them available. They give us a break being anglers as far as cost goes. Most of the stuff out on the water is warrantyable. Most of these guys have brand new gear, so that helps a lot. But yeah, they're super helpful group. I can't say enough good things about them. I've used the Skeeter guy, the Yamaha guy, and the Minn Kota guy, and I have fished 4 Bassmaster Opens. So they are great people. I'll give them that.
And like the guy I was just talking to for my motor, like he obviously knew everything he was talking about for sure. Like he's worked on a motor or two, I'd say.
He's seen that. Well, I think anybody that's been around an Optimax has seen that.
Yeah. He was very, very knowledgeable about everything, though. He was, he was really good to work with. He was super nice, so I was really appreciative of that. And I was glad he went through everything and told me kind of what was wrong and got an answer pretty fast. So that was nice.
That's one of the reasons why it's kind of expensive to fish these tournaments too, isn't it? Having that support.
Yeah, correct. It's having that support there. Like I said, it's huge, and I hope part of our entry fee goes to those guys because they work their tails off.
I'm sure it does.
But yeah, and there's it pays well. It's not the absolute best tournament series to get into as far as making money goes. These ones are, you kind of got to look at them. You fish these if you want to make it to the next level. I wouldn't recommend to anybody to fish these if you want to make money. If you want a jackpot one, hop in on your home lake, go for it.
You want to get to the Elite Series.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I mean, if you want to hop into one, give it a shot and put yourself up against these guys. I can tell you it's not easy. There's a lot of really, really good anglers, and there are 10 guys that are going to make it to the Elite Series. And if you can make it through these, you can succeed at that next level.
Yeah, how many boats are in this tournament?
229 in this one.
That's crazy.
But Rayburn was 234.
236, I believe.
236.
Do they have a cap on how many?
They cap it at 230, so I'm not really sure how that extra 6 got involved in Rayburn. I believe our division filled in under 24 hours. So there is a waiting list. So that last boat, that single boat for this one, will get called. They'll have somebody's on the road right now, I'm sure, to come over and fish it. That's kind of the way these go.
That's the goal, though, right? Try to get to the Classic, try to get to the Elite Series. I mean, that's ultimately what you guys are working for.
Yeah, that'd be the ideal circumstance. But like Joe said, these guys are good, and it's hard. If we do make it to that Elite Series, that'd be a dream come true, but we're going to have to work for it for sure.
So 230 other boats out there. How many of these guys do you think are like you were in your first or second year doing this, or how many have been grinding for a while?
I would say quite a few of them. I've talked to quite a few that just got done fishing college, kind of like Joe and I, and Yeah, I'd say a lot of them are young, but there's definitely some guys that have been around a while for sure too. There's a good mixture, I would say, probably. I don't know. What do you think the ratio is on that, Joe? 50-50?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, you see some of the same names on repeat. Most guys, I don't think will last more than 4 or 5 years if they don't make it.
Yeah.
It becomes a financial burden at that point. Some guys are fortunate enough that it never becomes a burden. They can do it as long as they want to. But I'd say the average angler in the Opens lasts about 4 to 5 years if they don't make it.
Yeah, I mean, not only are you talking to entry fees, but all the travel, food, fuel, maintenance, motors, parts, fishing gear. I mean, you guys, I'm sure, are working with some sponsors, but there's still a lot of money coming out of your pocket, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. And you know what they say, what BOAT stands for, right?
We're about another.
Break out another 1,000. So, and sometimes it's more like, 20, 30,000.
Well, what is it? Has anything surprised you about this so far down here at Kentucky Lake? Has there been any surprises for you guys?
It's not really fishing involved, but I kind of thought it was a cool thing with the area. There's a lot of deer I've been seeing, and I saw a lot of deer, a lot of bucks with horns still, and that kind of was really cool to me. I don't know. I was like, I don't know, because usually up north right now everything's gone. And I thought that was kind of neat, but and then
been an easy winter.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of. Dan and I talked about this a lot. Was there's a lot of ducks and geese and stuff around here too. That's really cool. Like you can sit off the porch of the resort here and just watch geese come in and land, and it's not many places you can do that, especially I feel like more populated areas and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool.
There's a lot of wildlife around.
Yeah,
like the amount of turkeys that I saw, and then they got the bison and the elk area of the park that you can drive through, which is kind of neat. But just driving through the LBL or around here, when we drive around and you guys coming off the water right at dusk like that, I'm sure there's deer all over the place.
Oh yeah, like there's the little back roads and stuff like that. They're loaded in there. It's pretty cool.
That's all you need is man down. That's all you need is to hit a deer pulling your boat.
Oh, I know. That'd be another thing on the list, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, tournament starts technically tomorrow. How you guys feeling going into it?
Semi-optimistic, I believe. That's how I put it. It's been tough for everybody, so that's a good feeling in the back of your mind. There's always a couple guys that have a very good practice, but you can't win practice. So I think we both found something that we can look forward to a little bit. And then from there, I think there's a lot of guys, including myself and Matt, that it's going to be our 4th day of practice again. Just going to go try to find new fish, burn down new parts of the lake.
Well, especially when you've had 2 days of 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts, that's going to move stuff around. That's going to change the water clarity even more. So it's almost like going out there again and figuring things out, I suppose.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt they have moved quite a bit in the last day or two here, because our 3rd day of practice, I don't think anyone practiced past 10 o'clock because it got so gnarly out. But hopefully Joe and I are able to relocate some of the ones that we did find, and hopefully it goes well. But I think, like Joe said too, getting 5 bites will go a long ways. And like some of the areas I found, I think if I can get 5 bites, it could go really good. But I might not get those 5 bites, so that's the tough part. But I'm trying to be optimistic.
We'll start using hooks again.
Yeah, I will have a hook on tomorrow. So,
what advice for anyone thinking about getting into this? I know we touched on it a little bit, but if there's one piece of advice that somebody should plan for if they're going to fish, like how many tournaments are you guys going to do this year?
We'll have 4 opens total.
And where are they all at? So it's Texas, Kentucky Lake,
and then Norfolk in Arkansas, and then we're back home in Leech Lake.
All right.
August. So.
Well, that one's not so bad because that's close. You can probably stay at home for that and drive back and forth. But when you're on the road like this, I mean, there's a lot to think about, isn't there?
Yeah. I would say being prepared for anything is a great piece of advice, because not only boat-wise, but truck trailer, like getting new tires, checking your bearings and all that, and I'm paranoid about that because stuff happens, and being prepared for all that I think is huge. A big piece of advice if you're gonna do this is because you never know what's gonna happen. So
you might hit a deer.
Yeah, you might hit a deer.
Your motor might blow up.
Yeah.
I think Matt nailed it right on the head. One thing on the mental side, I guess, that I would say is to anglers that are getting into this, your gear is very important. I think how you maintain it is just as important as having new things. And I don't run a brand new boat. Matt doesn't run a brand new boat. He runs a brand new motor now, which that's luck based. So, but I would say mentally wise, I got a very, very good tip from my co-angler in my first event. We don't have co-anglers anymore. That's a topic for another time. But my co-angler looked at me, and I think he read my mind. The first day on St. Clair, I backed my boat in the lake, and I looked around, and I'm looking at 229 other boats or whatever it was at that time. And he said to me, he's like, it doesn't matter what you have. And I've had that mindset, but hearing it, from another person, it's stuck in my head. And it truly doesn't matter. I mean, most of the guys out here do have brand new gear, but if you have confidence in what you're running, I think it's open for anybody to take a shot at it.
I would say the same thing too. Like, confidence is key. Like, I don't have that like brand new things either, but I love my stuff. And if you still you might have a brand new boat, but you still have to go out and catch them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Another piece of advice I would just say for people too is if you're thinking about doing it and you can financially swing it, do it. Like, because this is only our second tournament, but I wouldn't trade it for anything because I've got to experience new lakes and go around the country, and it's like probably some of the funnest times I've already had, and this is only second tournament. So,
well, to your point about the boats, we joke in our, the small tournaments you see out there, you see the guy in the duck boat, or something like that. You're like, oh, that guy probably knows, unless it's us, but that guy probably knows how to catch fish on that lake. But yeah. All right, Dan, did you have anything? Do you want to ask any questions at all? All right. Well, Dan's been filming this for the Fish Hunt Forever YouTube channel, so we appreciate you letting us tag along and be a part of it. We're looking forward to you winning this thing and us filming the entire thing, so no pressure. But guys, sucks about your motor. I know it's a bad deal, but fortunately you were able to get another one put on. So good luck to both of you guys this weekend, and your third wheel that's in the other cabin right now. Good luck to all three of you guys. And anything else you want to say? Do you want to plug any of your sponsors or thank anybody or anything like that?
I'd like to thank all my sponsors from my hometown. I kind of stayed local.
I definitely thought you were just going to say I want to thank my mom and dad. That's
well, I want to thank them too, and my grandma and grandpa and all my family. But I'd like to shout out to Sportsman Service, International Falls, Rainy Lake Oil, Wagner Construction. I've topped that, Border GMC, James Kennedy Trucking, which is family business. If you need gravel in Little Fork, give them a holler. And then I'm probably forgetting some, but any of my other sponsors, I really appreciate all the help, and it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make my list quick. Ray Sport Marine, they're located in Bemidji. They're Skeeter Lund and Cressliner, I believe. They've helped me out this year. That's a new sponsor for me this year. Great group of guys. If you need to go buy a boat and you live up north, Southside Towing, there's going to be some issues when we get to Leech for everybody. They're a good person to call, even if it's not completely related to what you have going on. Norse Lithium, they've been with me for a couple of years. Awesome batteries, if you want to check those out. And then, who am I missing? Northland, jeez. I should.
That too. Smelt later jigs. I've been catching them all on smelt later jigs. I have. They're my number one ticket. And so same with Joel. Yeah. So, yeah.
We probably shouldn't forget them next time.
Yeah. I also want to say too, Sportsman Service, they've done a lot for me. But if you're ever in the National Falls area, make sure you swing in there. They got a lot of good stuff, a lot of bait. And and they have everything you could possibly need for bass, walleye, everything like that. So if you're ever in the National Falls area, swing in there. They're good people. So
well, and when you have motor issues, it's good to know a guy that knows how to tow stuff too.
Yeah, for sure, because that happens. My boat has been on the Southside truck, so
so is mine.
Yeah, it happens.
All right, Joe, Titus, Matt Kennedy, good luck in the tournament. Thanks for the time today on the show.
Appreciate it.
Sporting Journal Radio is a division of Macaba LLC. If you've got a question, comment, or story idea for us, send us an email. Go to sportingjournalradio.com. While you're there, you can learn how to advertise on the show and visit our store for hats, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. Go to sportingjournalradio.com.